hear some typing that's not me. That must be Norm.
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
I am fantastic. How was your weekend, Norm?
It was good. I was very busy. How about yourself?
Was excellent. Little bit of, I have to admit, little bit of FOMO, not having had the opportunity to be in Florida with so many of our members that went down for the Clearwater meetup. Looked awesome. Looked like it was a fantastic time.
It absolutely did.
Yeah,
we'll have some pictures out soon.
Yeah, we'll have to. I'll have an opportunity, hopefully, to make the next one. So good morning to everybody out on YouTube. Good morning to all of our members in the room. We've had a chance to say good morning to a lot of you. You may notice I am not Carlos. Carlos just has some commitments this morning, so I will be here supporting Norm as we do the pre-market show, and Carlos promises he will be back tomorrow morning with his patented show. So in the meantime, we will keep the show must go on, as they say. We'll keep things rolling for you here this morning. On the web, I've thrown up my webcam. I was just testing it. So there you go. You have to look at my face then this morning. We'll see how that goes. But wanted to take the opportunity this morning again to thank all of our members who had a chance to attend the meetup in Clearwater, Florida. There was a ton of members there. Looked like it was a great time. I saw a couple of pictures posted on social media. Looks like it was a fantastic event. So thanks to everybody who went, and I'm sure you had a good time. I think we found everybody after the event. I know there were some people missing in action. They had a little too much of a good time, but that's all part of the fun. So with that, we normally Mondays, normally in the mornings, we start with a review of the previous day, but being that it's a Monday, I thought this morning I'd just start with a little training note, if you will. So it is a Monday, it's a new week, and it's an opportunity to sort of start afresh no matter what happened last week, whether you had the best week in your history or you had a week you'd rather forget. Make sure you're coming into this week with a plan, guys. Always think about your plan. Even if it's not written out, take a couple of moments to just sit and say, what am I looking to accomplish this week? What is my strategy going to be? How am I going to trade? How am I approaching not only today, but the entire week? It's very important that you think about that because if you don't have a plan, it's almost certain you're going to break some rules and you're going to take some trades you probably don't want to. So think about your plan, think about your strategy. It's going to make sure that you go into the week maturely and you are happy with the outcomes. At the end of every day, as I've always said to everybody, journal, journal, journal. It's very important that you take a record of what you've done. Only through that journaling process will you be able to recap the day and then learn from that such that you can improve upon it for next time. So with all that being said, let's take a look at what is happening this morning. We've got a few things that have been popping up on the list. I've had this list up since about 7 a.m. and we've seen a few things that are jumping up here. So let's start going through them. Before we do that, though, maybe I should ask Norm if you've had a chance. I haven't even looked at the global markets myself. Anything sort of global trends?
The trend is no trend, actually. Everything's pretty much across Europe is mostly flat. The FTSE's up a little bit more than the rest. They've got their own Brexit stuff, so a lot of mornings it trades a little bit differently. Asia was up overall overnight. Nothing really too spectacular that I see. The SPY was up for a chunk of the morning, actually all morning, and futures had opened up last night. And then just in the last few minutes, I guess there's been news that some trade concerns, the Chinese being concerned about tariffs not coming off immediately, something that the president said. So we've taken a little bit of a leg down on the SPY, not too bad, but down about 0.1%. So nothing too extraordinary, just turned us from a little bit green to a little bit red.
Yeah, I see that. You're right. We were trending just very slightly, about 0.2% green. As you said, we've now dropped below that marker. So we'll see what happens then going into the open. But overall, pretty flat, I would agree. Okay, so let's take a look at our gappers list this morning. So starting at the top of the list, we have KRTX. I know this is a low float. I was looking at it this morning, and some of our members in the room even called it out before it hit our gappers list. Norman, have you had a chance to take a look at the news on KRTX?
Yeah, so this is a biotech, and they had some positive phase 2 trials. So the news of that on a schizophrenia drug, news on that's giving them the catalyst to pop here.
Yeah, so 70 now, almost 80% up. And I know they were up more than that earlier because I was watching and it was sitting at $36. So, yeah, it's looks like it's going to be a volatile one. Again, not something that I love to trade because of the low float, but we'll see. The price action pre-market has been pretty good. And the price is reasonable, but that lower float is a cause for concern. So we'll absolutely keep it on the list for now. So here, XNet has popped up. That's wasn't there a few minutes ago. Not great pre-market action so far. Just over 100,000 shares traded, up 6.8%. However, any news on this, Norm?
XNet, all I saw was some joint venture partnership on a computing deal. So that's all I was able to really see, a collaboration.
Yeah, collaboration with China Tower Corporation. Okay, well, yeah, that's not huge news, but well, we'll keep an eyeball on it. XNet has been a mover in the past, but you know, ever since it's dropped sort of below the $10 mark, it's been a little less exciting. When things drop below sort of $10, that's when usually large institutions and the big funds don't tend to include them in their base, which means that you know, the price action and the movement tends to change a little bit, but we'll see what happens with XNet. Yandex, YNDX, has always been a tough trade for me, but I see it's moving again this morning, presumably on some news. I know they're having challenges with their foreign ownership. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, there's some sort of restructuring, and this has gone back to the remember the government issues in Russia with foreign ownership and such. So there's some kind of restructuring that they're going to be doing some governance changes. So.
Okay, well, that's giving them a little bit of a pop, but the pre-market activity is not good on Yandex. I said I've always found it a tough trade. Once again, I'll leave it here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, maybe we can just set some levels on it, but I don't, you know, unless it's really moving fantastic, not something I will probably keep an eye on. Okay, now we're getting into a couple of things that I know that were movers last week, starting with AMRN. So AMRN is up, well, just over 2.8%, but a big volume, 1 million shares traded so far this morning. Pre-market activity is not bad, but is this just a continuation of the excitement with that FDA approval from last week?
From what I can tell, it is, and we got to keep in mind on this, it's got a 34% short float, so that could be a catalyst for a squeeze to push it higher as well and continue the move.
Yeah, I don't see that listed in TI, but I'm sure in FinViz that's probably what it's reporting, right? So, okay, well. Okay, next is MT. This is a French company, I think, ArcelorMittal, a large mining company, not something I tend to like to trade. Again, pre-market is absolutely terrible. Looks like just a couple of block trades, so not really in play as per usual. So unless there's something big happening here, Norm, you can tell me about, I'm going to ignore it.
Yeah, I'd ignore it.
Okay, well then it's coming right off. Deleting that from my list right away. Okay, TLK. Again, this is odd. TLK has...
This is an Indonesian company. Have you ever traded this, or I've not seen it? So.
I've never even heard of it. In fact, weirdly, when I call it up this morning, I can't even find the trade on it. It doesn't look like it has any volume today, despite... I notice it's 273,000 shares exactly, which would tell me that maybe this was just a recorded block trade. But I don't know what to make of that. Yeah, I see one trade here, if I look at the time and sales, that probably accounts for, yeah, there you go. So there's the two. You can see it's basically two block trades for 136,500 shares at 829. So yeah, so again, another one that I think we will ignore. This is where time and sales came in handy just to help tell us what's going on. I'm just going to take that off my list right away. All right, so UNG is natural gas, not something that, again, I don't tend to trade those because they're not they're not equities that I like trading, but others do. If you do, then feel free to take a look at it. It tends to pop up quite a bit, especially at this time of year when natural gas is moving, especially in North America, as there's much more demand. And LK, again, another one, as I mentioned, that had some movement last week. I didn't see any news so far this morning on LK, unless, Norm, were you able to dig deeper and find anything?
I have seen nothing specific to LK. I think this is just a technical move
Yeah,
from
if we
the
look,
massive move it happened.
Yeah, exactly. As Norm said, massive move. Look at Friday's move here, big jump up, which actually happened a day late because their news came out, if I remember, it was either Thursday or Wednesday. I don't recall which exactly, but it really took off on Friday and had a great day. So today it could be just a little bit pullback from that big move. However, I'll leave it here. Might be worth setting some levels. I think that might have been all-time high. I don't remember. It doesn't have a long trading history. And last but not least on my list so far is QD. Whoops, QD. And I do believe they had some news. Quidian?
Yeah, so I have not gotten into the report yet, but they reported earnings this morning.
Yeah, I was having trouble getting the numbers. I mean, I can only assume they missed their numbers because they're down 8.5%. I just found a report that they reported it, but maybe there's not a lot of analysts following it. But either way, they seem to be taking a hit this morning on the back of earnings. So, again, pre-market is okay. QD, I know I've looked at it many times. I can't recall ever having traded it, so we will leave it here. So, not a fantastic list so far this morning, guys. We will let's take a look through our NASDAQ active stocks. So TVIX, again, not something we trade. That's AMRN we've talked about. AMD, always on the list, always has some volume. Doesn't look like a big mover so far this morning. It's usual sort of pre-market, it's got 600,000 shares, but this is just normal AMD stuff. And it is on my no trade list right now, so I will not be looking at it. Look at this, FCell is here again. I was watching a YouTube video over the weekend of somebody that felt he got suckered into FCell. I think the title of that video was "It's All Lies," which just confirmed everything I needed to know about avoiding something like FCell at 60 cents. So I am just going to skip right over it. PHIO, again, a 20-cent stock. Doesn't look good pre-market anyways. The Q's is up there. Naked. This is Naked Brand Group. I think they produce those naked juices or something, don't they? But there's a 4 cents. I seem to recall this having been trading more than that. Anyways.
This is a clothing company.
Oh, is it a clothing company? Okay.
Yeah, based in Australia, penny stock garbage.
Wow. See, I must have been a few years ago because this thing looks like this is probably maybe pre-split or something, but it was up at $200.
Yeah.
I remember this being a legitimate stock. It certainly doesn't look like it anymore. All right, so I'll just go into the gainers. KRTX we talked about. CPST, 14th at no volume. EIDX, again, no volume, only 1,000 shares. I don't expect to find anything in this list, but I'll go through them quickly. MTEM, nothing going on there. CLBS. Doesn't look great. FLNT is the last one I'll look at. It's been on our list before. Still, it's only $1.50, 1,000 shares. So really nothing going on. Okay, on the losers, SLS doesn't look good. SES, Synthesis Energy, nope, doesn't look good at all. AIHS was on our list last week. It was one that had a big, if you look, this big gap up, but look at what happened over the course of the day. It sort of jumped around, but ended up with very little actual motion between open and close. So doesn't look like a good trading stock for me. And again, it's $1, so I will be avoiding that. ALT, don't like the look of that. All right, so no surprise, nothing there. Last thing I'll go through here is just the active stocks from the NASDAQ. See if there's anything here that's worth taking a peek at. I don't see. These are all funds. QD we've already talked about. And that's about it. NEO, it pops up every once in a while, but it's down at $1.88. Nothing exciting there. All right. Let's see what we're being recommended in the room, if there's anything there worth looking at. Roku. Well, Roku has been a lot of fun the last little while. Look at these the last week it was just, I mean, green every day, right? It went from the lows here at 117 up $40 to 157 or so. Today may be the day it breaks 160. So far pre-market, it's got 230,000 shares. Why is it not showing up on my gappers list? I'll have to look into that. However, yeah, Roku could certainly be a good trade for today. I don't know of any particular news on it. But
Roku's flat. Yeah, well, Roku's not on the gappers because it's not up or down more than 2%.
Go. Of course, yes, it's only at 0.01%. That makes a lot of sense.
It's not gapping.
Yeah. However, I mean, it does have 230,000 shares trade. And we said with that movement that's happened the previous few days, it could very well become a gapper for us. So we'll take a peek. All right. Anything else on YouTube that you guys are looking at? Is somebody recommending EROS? Let me take a peek at it. 480,000 shares, up 17%. It's only a $2 stock, though. I don't like things at that price necessarily. It does, the pre-market doesn't look that bad. It's not fantastic, but it doesn't look that bad. I might set some levels for you guys if we have time, but again, probably not something I will trade. Is this a foreign company? Probably is as well, right? Is my guess. No, it's American movie production. Okay. I don't know anything about them, but looks like they're announcing a collaboration with YouTube, so that's probably why they're jumping up here. You mentioned YouTube. You got something going. Okay, last one that our members are mentioning here is QGen. It was absolutely a traded stock last week. In fact, I know I myself took a trade on it. Had a good week, as you can see, based on the daily chart. Today, the pre-market isn't looking so great, but it does have just over 100,000 shares. Why don't I add it to the list? Got nothing to lose here at this point. We might take a look at it. Okay. Norm, anything from your side you think I should also be taking a look at for setting levels later?
Apple's had a lot of movement this morning, and it's got good volume. It was up a decent amount, and it wasn't more than 2%, but it's now fallen right back to previous day close. I might keep my eye on that one. I know Netflix was in play last week with some of this Disney streaming stuff, so I'll keep my eye on that. And NVIDIA was in play last week off their earnings. It was in play on Friday, so I'm going to have my eye on that. Those are primarily because not seeing a whole lot really on the main list that I like too much.
Right. Well, and you mentioned Disney. Is Disney probably not doing anything this morning? It doesn't tend to trade a lot pre-market.
Yeah, correct.
It's not doing anything. So, all right. Well, guys, we've got a list anyways to take a look at.
What else do we have? We've got a few minutes. We can take some from the room if anybody's got any additional ones. KRTX, I think we've already looked at. AMAT.
Yeah, Sal is saying that he's having trouble seeing my charts a little bit, that the resolution is poor. I ask you guys on YouTube and in the room, is everyone having that issue, or is it maybe the way I've got my settings here? I don't normally use this setup. I use it just to talk to you guys because I like black charts. I normally use this type of configuration, which I find easier to see, but others have it clear. Could be the resolution that you're getting, Sal, because others seem to say that it's okay.
Yeah, it looks okay to me.
All right, sounds good then. So I'm not saying, Norm, are you picking anything else from the room that people want to look at? Somebody's mentioning Billy. That's the only other one I saw. Let me take a look at that. B-I-L-I.
Billy, yeah, Billy's got earnings today.
Billy.
So they report this evening.
It's one of those weird companies. How do you go to work in the morning? And where do you work? I work at Billy. It's a very serious career. Yeah, pre-market looks pretty bad, and I don't like the daily, only that it's been obviously chopping in a range here for the last little while. Maybe today, based on earnings, is when it breaks out of the range. You've obviously got a clear level if it gets through that range. So I'll put it on here since our users recommended it, and we don't have a huge list. But that'll be good for now. Okay. With that, let me just call up our announcements here, and we can, because we've got stuff going on this week, as every week. We've got a Lots of things happening here in the Bear Bull Traders community. Oops, hold on a sec. I just got to move it over so we've got it on the right screen and we can take a look. Starting with our rundown for the week.
Weekly rundown, yep.
Hold on. Come on.
Peter, do we have a workshop Wednesday scheduled this week? Are you aware?
I am not aware of one at this point, but we can always, we have so much material, I'd be happy to do one. So if we don't, let's say we will have one and I will take the lead on that.
Sounds great. All right. It's Monday. So generally we have Brian's swing trade review, 2:30 p.m. in the classroom, and then class 1 onboarding tonight at 8 p.m. Then Tuesdays and Thursdays we do the trade reviews at noon. And the workshop Wednesday, as we were just discussing at noon. There's been a couple of weeks we have not had a workshop Wednesday. We have been a little short with Carlos out, so he'll be back tomorrow, as Peter said earlier. He was supposed to be back this morning, and then realized first thing this morning that he had to drive his wife somewhere. So he'll be back tomorrow with us. Once again, thank you, Peter, for covering. And we should be back on a full schedule. All right, now for the good stuff on the next page. All right, the fall ideas, trade ideas fall test drive is ongoing. It started last Monday, so you can get this 1 week. It's actually, so you can still get it for $8.99, and it usually gives you 1 week of trade ideas anyway. So you don't get the extra week, but you can still sign up for that and get trade ideas tried out for a 1 week. That's the premium version with Holly AI and everything else that is included in the test drive. Along those lines, we have the new scanner contest. If you either have a scanner that you really like or that you can create for the room using trade ideas, we would love to have you share it in the forums. The community will vote. You can win an Apple product of some sort. Andrew has thrown out a couple of different ideas. Originally, it was an iPad, but if you need a new iPhone instead, we'll do that. So take a look at the forums and post. That's going to run till the end of November to be able to put up your scanner settings. And hopefully they also get added to the scanners for the room that we have up all day. Lifetime, we've been asked over and over if people could get it in monthly installments. We've added that option. It is on the membership page. So if you're interested, you can upgrade to that. Also, we have a pre-market show lifetime discount code. Off the one single payment, you get 35% off with the promo code premarket35. Tomorrow in the room, we have Robert Green from Green Trader Tax. He is a tax professional that is most known for knowing about traders. Actually, he even works with the IRS to try to determine rules for traders, get beneficial rules for traders. He'll be answering all things tax-related questions in the room tomorrow about trader tax status, mark-to-market accounting elections, so on and so forth. So be sure to tune in for that if you're a U.S. resident. Very, very important stuff. And then also, if you're watching us on YouTube, you'd like to try us out in the room, you can get the 1 week chat room trial and a discount. Use the promo code premarket24. Does not auto-renew, does not turn into any other kind of membership. And if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you will be notified whenever we go live with new content. Back to you, Peter.
Awesome. Thanks, Norm. Okay, guys, now it's time to take a look at setting our levels. So I'm going to focus on the daily chart here and see what we can do to get some levels in. So as we mentioned, starting at the top here, KRTX, which is our big gainer of the morning, although it's lost almost $6 from the peak. What I have automatically marked, I'll just mention this one time, is the pre-market high and low, as well as the previous day, so the last 2 days of trading, the highs and lows of those trading sessions. So those are all those red dotted lines, so I don't need to mark those myself. They're automatically there. The only other level I can see that might be of value for KRTX is right at the peak of this candle, which is sitting at $29 even. No coincidence there. So as soon as what is going on here? As soon as Daz decides to cooperate, here we go. I will just set that level at 29, and that's probably it for KRTX. We've got to watch it. It looks like this is a recently listed stock because I don't have a lot of history, so we are trading at all-time highs in this entire level from the morning, so nothing to go off of. We'll just have to watch and see what happens. That does make it interesting, though, to me. And yes, as a reminder, KRTX is a low float. Thanks, Samuel, for reminding me of that. But even so, I might keep an eye on it at all-time highs, good trading volume. I might just keep it on my list to see what happens. All right, XNet. So we're looking at XNet here. Look how far it's fallen from where it was. It's trading so far this morning around $5. I obviously had set some previous levels. I'm just going to reuse these lines here, and I'm going to set this at 720 at the top of this candle. 720, which seems like a good level to me. I don't know where I got this 672. Let me move back and see. Wow, obviously I got that one off of the peak of this little section here about a year ago in November. I think I'm going to leave that level there. Other than that, I don't see any other real clear levels. Notice, look at this. This would be the pre-market high. Happens to be exactly at where this candle is at 522. So I can remark it just to put a level there, but it's no coincidence, I think, that the pre-market high is right at this level. As we say, sometimes these things appear magic, but it's just because others are looking at these levels as well. There's a reason why it stops at these places. YNDX. Well, I've got a previous level that's marked, which I still like, at 38 and a quarter. You can see it right here at the top of this pattern. Right this morning, we were trading in a range of 38.20. Again, look at that, pretty much stopping at where that level is, down to 37.30. The only other level might be of note. I'll put one sort of at the top of this pattern. I won't pick off the wicks, but I'll put it at the top of the bodies, and then index 42.38. It's got a level up there that I'll make sure gets right to 42.38. I don't know how strong this news about their agreement with the Kremlin will be for Yandex, but it may cause this thing to run. Again, it tends to be a tough trading stock, in my opinion, so just be cautious if you're looking to trade it. AMRN. I've got a couple of levels that you can see previously marked here at $20, $20.92, and $23.88. I'm going to leave those there. They actually look like good levels because they still match some of these pattern peaks. We've had this great move up the last 4 days in AMRN, but it has been, as you can see by the big wicks on the candles, especially the last couple of days, hasn't been a smooth movement. So just be careful. The pre-market high looks like it's well above any recent activity. So yeah, that looks like it for levels today. That pre-market high will be something to watch when we go into the market today at 25.10. It may play with that level, so watch AMRN for that. Luckin Coffee, as we mentioned, not strong news today, but it looks like it's probably just a bounce off of the significant activity we had last week, especially on Friday. The high of Friday is something to keep an eye on. Today we may lose some of that, and if we lose it, then well, we've got a lot of room, right? We could go all the way down to about $23, or I've got a level at $22.96. Yeah, because that matches the top of this candle here. So in between, I don't really see any clear levels. I mean, lots could happen, but these are just, this is sort of the chop in between. So I'm going to leave that big, sort of $3 gap here without setting a level in it, because I don't see anything obvious that others would also be looking at. QD. I will mark for you guys, again, roughly around $7 this morning. Certainly have a level at the low of this pattern, down here at about $6.30. Certainly at a high of this pattern at about $7.89 specifically. I will put a level there. Other than that, I mean, I seem to have a previous level set up here at 920, which looks good. And heck, if it goes above 920 or below 630, I'd be surprised. If so, I would come back and revisit this because that would indicate a pretty significant movement on the day. So we'll see what happens. Roku. It has absolutely been a mover. Anything can happen with Roku. I've got a previous level I had set at the peak of this candle at 176.55. Again, is that within reach today? You know, goodness only knows. Anything can happen on Roku. So watch it. I do have a level set at 150.80, you can see, and I'm going to leave that, as well as the other levels I had here at 142.10. Frankly, I don't know where I got that from. Being that I can't identify it quickly, I'm actually going to remove that level. This one here at 139.44. I see this candle here, the peak is actually 139.59, so I'll just adjust that to make it accurate. And for me, that's good for Roku. Okay, now we're getting to a couple that you had mentioned in the room that I probably will not trade, but if you're looking for levels on it, EROS, you can certainly see it had a consolidation pattern here roughly around 160, which is where it's trading right now. The high of pre-market here, well, it happens to touch on this candle. I wouldn't say that's a super strong level at 270, but you can certainly see it. It's probably not a coincidence that it stopped there. And then, of course, I'd have to set one way up here at the top at 392. Again, not a stock that I love, but if it's going to make a run today, those are levels to watch. If it drops, well, I mean, anything could happen. Certainly down here at $1.25-ish would be where I would be putting a level. QGen, you know, it over the last month and a half has had a pretty good run here. So no arguing QGen has been on an uptick. I did trade it last week. I can't remember if it was on Friday or on Wednesday, but it was one of those 2 days. I think it was Wednesday, actually. Not some great levels here. Let me just put one at the top of this candle, which is roughly 41.55, so that's good right there. If we are trading up at 42, which is 42.44 is the high of pre-market, are we working at all-time highs here? We could very well be. Whoops. Does look like we're sort of at all-time highs. And now I've messed up my chart. Oh, crap. Sorry about that, guys. One sec. I've managed to put my chart in a state I can't get it out of. Because it's gone off the screen on me. Hate it when that happens. And I can't get the menu back. All right, I will work with this chart for you guys. All right, you have to help me out. What else do we have on the list? I know we were looking at Apple. Apple potentially, as Norm said, was moving this morning. God, look at this run, right? Apple's been amazing to have run up here from $200 to $266, and as best I know, this is absolutely an all-time high, right? So,
oh yeah.
If it peaks above this, I mean, guys, we've been operating for, what, almost 2 weeks now without really any levels to play off of because it's been at all-time highs. So I'd previously marked some candles here just to keep note at 257.25 if it drops to that level. But, I mean, I don't think this thing is going to drop that far, but you never know on Apple this morning, so we'll keep an eye on that. Norm mentioned NVIDIA. I know for sure NVIDIA... Well, it's the last couple of days, it hasn't really gone gangbusters, but I don't have an expectation as to whether it's going to go up or down. You can see I've got a ton of levels that have set, probably too many, quite frankly. So let's pull all of those out and say, well, previous day high and low is setting a band here that it's been trading within. Frankly, I'd like to see it outside of this range, but geez, if it doesn't, that could be tough. However, I will set a level here at just the top of this little pattern here at 193.50 roughly. You can, or sorry, what have I got here? Yeah, 193.50 is where this level actually should be. 193.47 specifically. I like the exact number right there. And if it does go for a run, where could it go? These aren't great levels up here. I do see something here roughly at 217, and then, yeah, over that, these really just aren't great levels, right? It sort of has bounced on when it put in some of its highs way up here at 280s. But that's probably good enough, frankly. If it gets outside of this bigger range from 193 to 217, then we're going to have a big day on NVIDIA, and it'll be worth revisiting the chart. So, said I still can't get back at my my chart here. The only thing I could do would be to restart DAS. The problem is I'll lose all of the my stocks that I'd set in here. But I may just have to do that. So 1 second as I reopen the desktop. Problem is I load all of the file sharing software and everything. I notice my PC slows down a lot. Time, it's probably a sign that it's probably time for a new device. All right, here we come. Ever so slowly. Okay. Any last thing you guys think I should be taking a peek at?
I know some people are calling out Facebook. It's got 5-minute looks somewhat interesting. It's got okay volume with 101,000 shares. It's down 0.13%, so not a huge gap or anything. T-Mobile, have you looked at that one?
I haven't. Let's take a peek at it now.
There
TMUS.
there was a squawk earlier about John Ledger serving out the rest of this contract, ending, I think, in May of next year. And then there will be a different CEO after that, and he'll stay on the board. So it's down 1.6 on that news. That news came out on that big 1-minute candle at what time? 8:30ish.
Okay, I see that here, yeah. All right, because, I know there was a rumor they were talking about that last week. On Friday, there was also a confirmation that he was going to stay, so it sounds like they're reiterating that. This looks like a significant level here. Look at the low of pre-market here is right at $76 even, and that happens to be exactly where I've got my 200 moving average on the daily. T-Mobile being such a large stock with a huge float, it tends to obey those daily levels very well, so I'm going to put a marker there. And we'll see what happens. I don't know that it's particularly going to be in play, but you never know, right? It is at the low end of this range if I look at the daily chart, so we could see a little bit of a drop out of T-Mobile. One of our members mentioned JD. I'll take a look at JD here for you. It was definitely a mover on Friday. I was a little surprised. The pattern to me looked like it was ready to go up. It had gapped up pre-market on Friday on good news. I think it was earnings based. But the stock just went down all day. If we look at the chart on Friday, look at this. I mean, it was a good, steady mover straight down. So there's no question about that pattern. And I managed to get a small short on it. Unfortunately, I got stopped out of this pullback to VWAP, but I should have known. That's actually one of my plays that I look for, is that false breakout from VWAP. It didn't even touch it, and look, we could have just held on to this pretty much all day. So JD may be in play today. If so, frankly, the high of Friday and the low of Friday would be the key markers I would look at, and then I've got those previous days marked. Other than that, probably no levels to watch on JD, but might be worth keeping an eye on. It tends to move fairly slow and steady on any given day. You can even see that based on Friday, even though it didn't go in the direction I thought. Pretty slow, steady mover. All right, and last, what are people taking a look at? Netflix was one that I know you mentioned, Norm, and Thor is talking about. We should always listen when Thor speaks. He tends to have good things to take a look at. The daily chart, it does look like it's about ready to break out of this range. It's sort of been in this range. It started to put in bigger movements, but still within this broader range that it's been in for the last few weeks. If it does break the top here, I noticed that I had previously, this is interesting, I had previously set a level at 298.54. So guys, I did not set this today. And look what the high is pre-market. It's 298.50. So again, when we sometimes like to say these levels are magic, it's just because we know that other people are paying attention to them. And it means that they can cause stocks to either see resistance or support as a result. So I'm absolutely going to keep that level. And I will just put another one here at the high of this candle at 308.75. That looks like a good place to watch. And I notice I've got a previous daily level set way up at 311. If Netflix gets up to 311, I would definitely say it's having a good day. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, Netflix, it looks interesting on the daily chart. Pre-market though, not doing much. So I'll watch it probably on my scanners and see if it comes up on my breakout scanners. All right.
A couple more that have been called out on YouTube. We've got Walmart. Walmart's got really no volume and no gaps. Same thing with crowdsourced CRWD. There's not enough volume on that. There's really not a gap. Cody, it's pre-market's not great, but I see the pop you're talking about, COTY. So I'd take a peek at that one.
Yeah, pre-market, you're right, is not great. Is this a news gapper, or what's happening with Coty?
Yes.
Okay.
Snook37 says it's up after striking a Kylie Jenner deal. So
okay. All right, there you go. Well, the high of this day...
I'm not up on the Kylie Jenner news myself, but I'll take it from...
You'd be all in there.
That's not... Yeah, not really my thing. And then the one other I'd say that does actually look interesting is PCG. Somebody called out. So...
All right. Well, looking at Cody quickly, 1342 at the high of this candle on November 6th. I definitely put something there. And then at this consolidation area, sort of the body of these candles, I'm putting a level of 1375. So we'll take, so those would be it for Cody. And then, sorry, Norma, now my brain has slipped. What's the last one you mentioned?
ACG.
ACG. Nope, I must have got that wrong. PCG. Oh, our good buddy PCG. Yep. I should have heard that properly. Of course, Pacific Gas. They haven't set any more fires, have they?
Not this morning.
Yeah, good. PCG, guys, I don't even know if it's worth setting levels, quite frankly, because I've never found PCG to really obey them. I've got a level here at $8.19. I can see off of this candle from November the 5th. It's not a bad level. It's sort of been in this range. I can't believe it's at the top of that range. Remember, this is sort of a bankrupt company that's figuring out what's next and how to restructure their assets so they don't go into liquidation, essentially, forced liquidation by creditors. But that being said, I mean, hey, they were at a low of under $4 and managed to get up to over $8. So, when you can double your stock price in bankruptcy, like, all bets are off, frankly. So, I've tried to trade it, and if you can get it on a momentum play, that's almost the only way I've found that you can play it, but not something I will keep on my list unless it, again, hits my scanners on trade ideas. All right, that's about it for me this morning. We're heading to the time where we all need to get set and ready for the morning. So from the list I had set, which I've now lost, I don't know where my list has gone. I'll have to... go back and find it. I think Yandex was something I'll take a look at. QD, certainly. I'll keep an eye on AMRN and Luckin Coffee, LK. And then, as Norm mentioned, I do like, it's interesting to me that all the volumes come in on the push down here on Apple, so I might keep an eye on Apple for this morning just to see what's happening with it. And then I'll see what happens on my scanners. So, with that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will go back to our, I said, pre-market prep and into the room. If you're on YouTube, thank you for joining us on YouTube. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you think about joining us in the chat room where we continue with providing sort of indicators, and all of our members, not only the moderators and the team help out, but all of our members provide what they're seeing. So it's a great community for that, and everybody's very helpful. So Andrew, we expect, will be joining us soon and lead us live through the trading morning. And Norm, thanks so much for joining me here, and I'm sure you, like me, are looking forward to having Carlos back with us tomorrow.
Absolutely, and thank you once again for hopping in and covering Carlos' spot.
Well, my pleasure.
Thank you guys on YouTube. Trade safe, be smart. See you tomorrow morning.
Take care, everybody. Remember, have a plan, stick to it, and make sure you journal your trades. Take care, everyone.